Welcome back, folks. It's episode 3 of Elaboration with the Philosophy. I'm here today with my good longtime friend. I consider a brother, Matt. How you doing today?
Thanks for that introduction. I'm glad to be here.
Of course,
Doing
of course. Great. All right, so I guess we'll jump right into it. My first question, which is the same that I like to ask everyone. What is your philosophy, and what experiences led to the latest shift or change in your philosophy?
It's a big question.
I know, yeah, take your time. It's definitely a big question.
My philosophy is to not get too worked up over things that I cannot control. I was just talking to you about the book, The Daily Stoic, and how the first rules in the Stoic philosophy are differentiating between what you can control and what you can't control. And that's a big thing in my philosophy that I'm creating every day.
Yeah,
and
word.
Trying to live by my philosophy.
Yeah, I feel that. For me, for so long, I've struggled with not being able to control the things that I wanted to control. I was trying to control both the action and the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of having both sides of the argument, even though you can't have both sides of the argument in that sense. Like, it's...
Yeah, you go through it in your head before you even do
exactly.
what you know.
Exactly. I guess from there, one thing that... Oh, where's my list? Speaking of control, like, the question that I would have for you is, what is control in that sense? Like, is there even such a thing as control? And like, how do you differentiate between things that can be controlled and things that can't be controlled?
Well, for me, what I can control always is my attitude and my mindset. What I can control is my responses to what is given to me. Because what I can't control is what's given to me, what's allotted to me.
It's more like the reaction.
Reaction. I don't like to use the word reaction.
Not the word in itself.
Right. I feel like reaction is when you're not really in control. You're just reacting to everything, the external stimulus. But when you're responding, you're taking in the external stimulus, you're putting it through your brain and your processing system and your own philosophy, and then you're taking what you're given and then changing what it is. So that's your control over it. You're changing it with your attitude and outlook and mindset.
Yeah, word. I feel tying into like the attitude and mindset, for me, what I've come to realize is that my downfall was and always is the resentments that I have towards people, towards objects, towards people with those objects. For me, like I've talked about it, I detailed it a good amount in my last episode with Nick, but my resentment towards alcohol, and then my resentment towards my mom because she's forever an alcoholic. So like, just having those resentments, realizing where they come from is good, because you can't, like, you cannot control others' actions, and like you cannot change people or lead people in a direction that you want them to go in. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's something that even to this day I struggle with.
Yeah, what you can do is you could lead them in the right direction by shedding light upon them. You can shed light, but you can't like try to change them, because then
you can't put the spotlight on them and then like you can't. It's
like pointing them in the right direction, but you could lead a horse to water, but you
can't make them drink. Yeah, literally that. And for like, what I've realized is that for me, a big thing that's developed in my philosophy is just being grateful and being very forgiving, and not only of others but of myself. It's much easier to forgive others for me, I feel, I definitely feel that it is harder to forgive myself for the things that I once thought were good-hearted, but seeing it now from me being changed, then it was out of love, or like a perceived sense of love. But a lot of it is like, at the end of the day, power, but like not malicious. Like you want power, but like for me, I wanted power in a lot of situations and a lot of control, but not with malicious intent. But it was mainly out of fear for whatever reason, whether it's the state of a relationship. Like for me, like it was very apparent in my relationship with Rachel that like I was very much not okay with myself. And I put a lot of pressure on myself because I feared not only the situation that I was in, but the situation that I could potentially be in for the rest of my life, being with one person. And thinking about it in that big of a scale, but then also realizing the micro problems, it was like, just like my head shaking in all uncontrollable ways, and then you just want to throw your head through a wall.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize that for me, it's about being very grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And very forgiving. And very forgiving of myself despite how hard it is. Because there's a lot of shame and guilt with a lot of things.
Definitely.
It's definitely not easy, this life. And we got a little sidetracked and the volume lowered, but I sometimes it's just crazy, thinking about life and like trying to understand that now is really the only time.
Yeah, because when you're thinking ahead in the future like that, thinking of, you're going to be stuck with this one girl forever or this and that, that's like the downfall of your intelligence, because you're thinking of all the possibilities that might happen, that could happen in the future, but in reality, they're not happening right now.
It's like a computer. Like for me, like what I've seen in my life at least, and what I've seen through Ben, and even like with you and Dave, but less so, and actually even more so with Nikki, is that like we almost operate like machines, always doing shit and always thinking about different possibilities. And, like, it's good, but eventually, like, you're gonna, you fry yourself out.
Yeah.
And that's how, even though I have a very good relationship with numbers, and, like, I feel that it brings me a lot of benefit, I also have that balance of operating like a machine sometimes. And then the machine gets overworked, and then it's like, all right, now the machine's broken for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do now? So, but that's also high stress, too.
Yeah, you gotta know when to just chill out.
Chill the fuck out, literally, and I've been trying to do that more so over the past week. Like, last week, I did so much, like, work and schoolwork, and I got mad shit done, but I was also stressing out. I stressed myself out so much that I missed 3 of my economics classes in a row. That attendance is mandatory because I would realize at 5 o'clock that I had class at 4.
Oh, shit.
And just did it. It went completely over my head. So, you can't worry too much, because even if you're getting all this shit done that you're worrying about, there's shit that you fucking completely throw out of your head.
Oh, yeah. It's like what your brother David told me about schoolwork. He's like, you don't want to kill yourself and stress yourself out so much about the schoolwork, because it's just not worth it. It's not
You're
worth
right.
it.
It's not worth it at all. It's not worth any amount of stress. And it's all, for me, like, the school stuff always came, for me, I always came from a place of school, like, I was always good at it, no matter how much I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was felt by, especially my mom, my sister. I perceived them to be 2 forces in my life that pushed me to go to college when, I'm very grateful that I went, I'd be a totally different person if I didn't. But I also felt and still feel the same kind of like lack of motivation to learn, no matter how interesting the subject may be. And like with you guys, yeah,
like
because
they
of
make
school.
they make it dull and
Yeah, and it's because of me too. I don't want to. Oscar's mad cute, but I don't necessarily want to like my role as a student and my relationship with myself in the student role has had a lot of ups and downs. Like now I found out that all my classes are online next semester already. I know for a fact. I made sure that for my schedule that I created, so basically on Blackboard they have what's called the college scheduler. I don't know if you guys have it on your Blackboard, but for me, like once all of the classes for next semester have dates and times and days and they're kind of set. Most of them have professors, but not all of them. You can actually create a mock schedule with those classes. And if I get the schedule that I want, I created the perfect schedule to go from 1 p.m. or like for the week, I'd be going from 11:30 to 5:15 at different times all throughout the week. But since I probably will be in California for the first half of the semester, that translates from 8:30 to 2:15 perfectly.
yeah.
And it's just like, all right, I'm now excited about next semester, but I also know that I have shit to do this semester. But it's also kind of in my mind, it's halfway of really pushing to do it, but also like, oh, I have to do this shit, even though I should just do it to do it.
Right.
Like
one of the things like that is funny about humans is that we are only happy when we know we have a bright future to look forward to. Like we have good times coming.
We got
and that's like part of my philosophy too. Look, I want to know that I'm gonna have good times in the future. But if I'm thinking about the future and those good times all the time, when the future comes, I'll be thinking about another future.
Yeah, like you gotta create, like if you're here now creating the good times, like the good times will come in the future. Like there won't be.
Yeah.
Why? It's weird. Like, well, I guess going back to control, like, what are you controlling in that sense? Are you controlling the outcome? Or you control like? It's weird because, like, I guess you control both, but you don't control either one. Like you control what you can do now if you're here now.
Yeah.
And then it kind of feels like things fall into place. It's weird. Because like sometimes I feel like I create my reality, but at the same time, and especially on mushrooms, shit falls into place as if it was already meant to happen that exact way.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit,
like
which one are we really doing?
Things are aligned and happening perfectly. That's how it feels when you're on mushrooms. But definitely, yeah, I feel that what you do now, like your actions, definitely, like, so we do create our reality with our actions that we're doing now. Like the present moment creates our future present moment. And
our perception of what we would do too in that present moment
is created by now. Yeah, whatever we do now is going to affect us in the future. When it comes
in the future now.
Because all we have is this moment, and so I believe that we really do have control over our realities a lot more than we would give ourselves credit for.
Yeah.
So like this is like an analogy that Alan Watts uses, and he uses the breath as an example, and he says like you could look at it as if the breath is a voluntary action
or
and an
involuntary action, because they are both. Because you can either breathe like
you can hold your breath.
You can hold your breath, or you're fucking a half hour into reading and you're like, wait, I've been breathing this whole time? Like,
or yeah, even in this conversation, we've been breathing the whole time.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, we're not consciously thinking about it.
We don't have to think about it in order for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like we can use it as a tool, but it's also a biological necessary mechanism that ensures us to function, because that is like one of our main functions, I guess, is being, I guess, really humans. I try to differentiate the two, I guess, because like I feel like a lot of people describe the feelings and emotions and thoughts that we have as the human in us, when I think it's the opposite, if that makes sense. I think the ego is a part of the human aspect of life, I guess, and experience. But I think the thoughts and the emotions and the feelings are more the being aspect.
Right.
Because like we think of ourselves as human beings. That's like what we are, I guess.
Yeah, our label.
Our label that we've created. But like, we don't say Oscar is a cat being. He's a cat. But in reality, he's a fucking cat being. He's a cat being. Like, that's what...
Yeah.
That's the deal. And the physical part is the cat. You know? Like, is that you? But yeah, like, Oscar is a cat being. He isn't just a cat.
Yeah. He's not a stationary, unmoved. It's not like that pole is a pole.
And the pole is still being too.
Yeah,
you know, like that's what, like the being of it is that it's
a pole being. Yeah, it's being a pole right now.
Yeah.
It's poling right now. Like he's
catting
and we're peopling.
Yeah, we're peopling. It's all happening. And that's where everything derives from. I've heard either you or David say that fucking a million times.
Yeah, so it's like what we were talking about before, like with the breath, like how like we don't, it's involuntary and voluntary, like, and we were talking about this before the podcast, how you would not want to be the controller of all things. Like, it's a lot of work. I'd rather
be more
like,
hands off, like,
yeah.
oh, pick that one that you can choose, like.
And it's just like a great business leader, like, delegates all the work to his employees. Like, you can't, that business leader, the president of the United States can't do everything. He's got to delegate.
Yeah, he's got to delegate shit. And, like, same thing. And, like, but at the same time, you cannot delegate without care.
Yeah.
And you have to delegate with care first.
Right.
It's like, yeah, we have employees. Like, for me, like, not we have employees, but, like, one thing that I really resonated with as someone who wants to have... who not only has a great team around them now, and will have a great team around them for the rest of his life, but as someone who is going to have a team under, quote, under me, in the sense of, like, not really under, but, like, along with the ride, like, those people will be and have to be treated with respect and care and love, because you're not a leader if you're not doing that.
Right, yeah.
If
you're not taking advice from the people so-called below you, then you're not a leader. Yeah.
Exactly. You're a boss. You're dictating. You're not delegating things. You're dictating people to do shit for you. It's not for growth of everyone. And, you know, like, for me, I try to bring that into daily conversations. You know, like, in any moment, like right now, like we don't have to talk, I'm on your team. But like for people that I don't know, or for people that I haven't seen in a while, it's like, when I talk to you, like, I'm on your team right now. Yeah. And I don't plan on, and there's no other team to be on. If that makes sense, especially when I'm talking to you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm here for me.
Like, I'm not trying to make you look bad or stupid.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to get one over on someone. I'm trying to grow mutually. And, like, for me, like, if I'm on someone's team in the moment of having a conversation with them, especially if it's a deep conversation, like, I'm on your team, so, like, you're on my team, and if you, quote, lose, I, quote, lose. So I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want growth, you know, and like...
And a great leader, like you're saying, realizes that the person that he's leading is also just another human being.
Yeah, literally.
Who is just as intelligent and has,
has the same, that we're doing the same thing. Like, I've started to realize that more and more, and I felt that lesson has kind of like expanded my consciousness in a rapid way that not many other things have. It's just like people are just experiencing their being. We're all doing the same shit, and like you gotta treat others as if it was you, like, because that's what it is. That's in reality, that's what it is. There is like, I was talking about this with Nick yesterday, not recording, but like there, you can't look at everything outside of it, or like from a part of it that isn't it, because everything is everything.
Because you can't get outside of it.
Yeah, you can't get outside of everything, because it's all right. Then what are you looking? What point of view are you at to look at everything that isn't everything?
Yeah, it's like this is a problem. Like our issue is with life, is with our definition of ourselves.
Yeah.
So like, and we define ourselves as these separate individual entities. Like I'm Matt Fiorenza, you're Joe Boxer.
Yeah.
And you're just what is inside of your bag of skin, and I'm just what's inside
Which
of my
is
bag
so
of skin.
not true.
Oh yeah, it's
you
nonsense.
know?
It's nonsense. We rely, like I like to say this a lot. We like how the sun is just as much an integral organ as our heart. Like we rely on the sun
just as much as the sun relies on us. Yeah, equal.
An equal amount as we rely on our heart is how much we rely on the sun and the oceans. Without them, we would not be here.
It's the same thing with people.
And so that just expands your definition of yourself. Like when you realize, like we were talking about creating the world and just letting it, and things just happening to you, whether you're in control or not. But like if you look at it like this, like your eyes are creating the light that comes from the sun. Like the sun is only light because your eyes are there to receive it.
Exactly.
If your eyes weren't there to receive it, if you just were
Alan
blind,
Watts says something similar, right?
Yeah, this is where I'm getting it from. This is where all my philosophy comes from, like Alan Watts and these amazing people like that. And he's saying how like if you didn't have eyes, it would just be warmth or whatever. And
oh wow, yeah,
it would just
it's
be
true.
warmth. Like this piece of wood is only hard in relation to the softness of my skin.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
It's so like
everything's got flow.
Yeah, like the temperature in this room is nice. It's
Yeah,
room temperature. It's comfortable for us. But if it was cold, it would only be cold in relation to the nerve ends in our skin.
Yeah.
So you could look at it as things are just happening to you, or you are actually creating everything that's happening. Like everything you see out in front of you is a creation by your own being, like what you consider to be yourself.
Yeah.
But in reality, yourself is everything that you see out in front of you, along with what you are.
It's equally both.
Because every inside goes with an outside.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't describe a person walking down the street without describing the sidewalk, the setting.
Yeah,
they go together.
Yeah, you can't describe just there's no I can't even put it better.
That's because I didn't put it that way. I got it from Alan Watts.
Bro, perfect segue. Like none of our ideas are original.
True.
Like people, like what I've come to realize is that consciousness and the thoughts and the patterns and the behaviors and the emotions, like I say that's the being part because that is generationally passed down, first of all. And then on a bigger scale, it's mass conditioning.
Right.
Of a lot of people having the same patterns, you know.
I don't want to cut you off, but like...
No, yeah, cut me off.
I just want to say how, like, the thoughts in our own mind, like, we attach to them and we consider our thoughts in our mind to be our own thoughts.
Yes.
But this is, like, such a logical point of view that everybody could get that it exemplifies how our thoughts are not our own.
Yeah.
It's like we think in terms of a language English that we did not create personally, but we've just inherited from our society and literally
that's what's happening.
like
That's
our
the
culture.
manifestation of our culture and what we've done to be able to have this sense of communication and order.
True, yeah.
And at the end of the day, yeah, Jordan Peterson's great.
Order and
Honestly, just
chaos.
like order and chaos, and just like the way. Not that I necessarily agree with everything that he says,
Yeah.
but everything that he says, he makes me think about in so many different ways. Like it's so, like, it's just so crazy. But I also feel that he does it on such a grand scale that I can't even imagine what it's like to be. I can imagine what it's like to be Jordan Peterson because we're all just being, but at the rate that the consciousness is flowing with the information that he
Have all the
has,
information,
like,
yeah.
it's so. Like, it's so beyond. I really can't even explain it. It's just so crazy.
It's just like me and you 2 years ago and now compared to 2 years ago, like what the way we look at the world because of all the things that we've read, heard, and seen
and talked
experienced.
about and experienced and all of it. Yeah, it's always changing. Like, I actually ordered 2 pairs of glasses because my eyesight has gone. Yesterday we were watching Game 1 of the World Series, me, Nick, and Ilya. Nick saw it perfectly, and I asked both of them, like, can you see everything crystal clear? And Nick was like, yeah, I can see it perfectly. And Ilya was like, I can see it, but not crystal clear. So I was like, oh yeah, try my sister's glasses on. And he saw it, and he's like, oh shit, like, fuck. And I'm like, yeah, like, order these fucking glasses. I just got glasses, but I actually got one of the pairs customized. Like, I wrote on one of them, I think it's the main one that I got. I got basically like all black ones, and I think on the inside I have my name, but then on the outside I have Be the Change.
Awesome.
And like, that's really what it is. Like, if I feel a lot of people not only strive to be the same their whole lives, but I feel like that is what is conditioned.
Yeah, we do things based off of what everyone else thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And we every move that we make is determined on what everyone else is going to think and meanwhile, who gives a shit?
It's preservation of an image. Like, in that sense.
On a false image anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, who cares what everyone else thinks, because we're all the same. We're all human beings. We all are just as ignorant and just as
knowledgeable.
True. Just as intelligent as we are ignorant.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know what I'm saying.
No, I feel you though. I really do feel you. And I guess from there, like, one thing that I do have in mind, which I guess Jordan Peterson does really make like strong of in my mind, is that like there really is a balance between individual and like collective or group being and like experience and like what should be focused on. Then I guess where it comes in more with like identity politics. And I don't want to say that I don't consider myself a very political person, because a lot of things in life have been politicized to the point where it's like, all right, it's very hard to not be, quote, political in the sense of other people trying to say shit, even though other people don't fucking matter. But I guess for me, I've realized that a lot of people, and I guess mainly with politics in our country, the right focuses on heavy individual and a little like less group identity, I feel. And then the left is very much the opposite. Focuses on group identity. I don't think there's care about individuality, but not really at the same time. Like,
and that what you're talking about right now is like it's like it's a good thing about humans and it's bad. Like it's the downfall
and the rise.
And the rise.
It's both.
Yes, it's the downfall and the rise. And what I was gonna say, what is the downfall and the rise is grouping things together and labeling them.
Exactly.
Like it helps in many situations. In this situation, we wouldn't be able to have a conversation if we didn't label things. And
exactly.
It's an amazing blessing that we have the ability to label and group things together. But it gets out of hand when you start labeling all human beings. Oh, you're. Especially when we've all decided that we're going to be one tribe, like America or whatever. Stop labeling people. Oh, you're Hispanic. You're this. You're that. Label yourself instead of labeling other people.
Exactly.
And if you're going to label anything, because guess what? You can't label someone else. Maybe they might look Hispanic, but they might be freaking Indian.
You never
Who knows?
know. Yeah, like with people, it's like I think not many people. Like I feel like the result of not being on the extreme ends of both. If you're focusing too much on the individual situation, the self-centeredness turns into high anxiety, high fear. And you inherently worry about what everyone says because you're so focused on preserving this false individual image for others to see. When you focus on the group stuff, it's kind of like, all right, it's good to do something that's overall better for a group when the group is a population of a country that is governed, but at the same time it's all expression of your own attention point, and like that's all you can control. So when you're in this group, think what results is that when other people disagree with your groupthink, you don't have to go into it as an individual.
Yeah, you
going
just agree
into
with it.
You don't have to go into a discussion or debate as an individual because you have that group behind you no matter what the fuck you say.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of the groups that we have are not made out of love. They're derived
Made out of fear, really.
And when you have fear, what comes with fear is stress, deception, and irrationality. And then it don't matter what you say because you can rationalize.
Yeah, look, I have these 100 people behind me who are saying the same thing, so I must be right. Like
exactly. And it's not that they're right, and it's not necessarily that they're wrong either, but it's something they've all identified with, attached to, and now have found a false sense of connection through that attachment.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things, like when these groups, they have this idea, and one of the problems with groups is that they attach to ideas. Even individuals, we attach to ideas when ideas are not real. They're just made up in your head, like they're imagined. They're not real.
Yeah.
But we attach to these ideas, and then we say we believe the ideas. So we say either they're right or wrong. And if I'm right, then someone else has to be wrong. Has to be wrong. So that's like, it's like a never-ending circle. Once you claim that you're right about something, someone else must be wrong. It's just like if you're gonna praise somebody for something, you gotta blame that guy.
You gotta blame someone else for something. Yeah.
If you're gonna go around praising, you gotta go around blaming.
Yeah, it's rough because I guess one thing that I guess derives from it is also like respect for the self and respect for others. Like, and what Jordan Peterson says, which I halfway agree with, but also disagree with, is like respect isn't like, for me, respect on the foundation of people just being and like experiencing and like that whole shindig, like there's mutual respect there, because I know for me, I've been very grateful for this experience of life, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So like I get that, like I respect individuals for that, but at the same time, like outside of that, like respect is earned. Like I don't, like, you can't command respect.
I mean, you can command it, but you command it by your actions.
Yeah, and like you don't command, but like
you
that's
do command
it's still
respect, but you command it not by like asking for it. It's just by
you command respect. Like for me, with the word command, it's like it's kind of like orders being shelled out from an authoritative position. When at the end of the day, respect is earned for me. I feel the exact opposite reason, you know? If it's, when you command, it's like, it's more boss-like, I feel.
Yeah, but I feel like you're commanding my respect right now. Just by you've commanded my respect for years because we've grown into this relationship.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't command my respect, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have any respect.
I
understand what you're saying. You're not forcing the person to respect you because you can't do that.
I feel like for me, like I've earned the mutual respect from you on a few different things. One, the conversations that we've had and how those conversations evolved over the years and how we've had very different conversations on the same issues that we've both experienced similarly but individually.
Yes.
And then like at the same time, like I've just known you forever, so that's like all right. Like that's another.
And that's not an automatic respect. Not
and
like
no,
I can
that's
know
not
someone forever and respect them less and less. As
exactly,
time goes by.
and it's by the actions and it's by the conversations that we have, and I feel that for a lot of people, like the respect is commanded for like doing something, like not necessarily doing shit, but for not doing shit.
Not doing bad
like
stuff.
It's just in their world, and even in my world, like respect is like there's shit that you have to do to be idolized and respected in that sense, you know, like you're not going to be respected and idolized for not doing things, but it's just a definition of what those things are to the individual.
Yeah, it's like in an example of this, like you'll gain respect from the society that we live in, this fucked up society.
Yeah.
But by going to war.
Yeah.
Like, you gain respect. So say like I'm drafted to go fight in the China war that might happen. In the next
like
few
whatever,
years.
like.
And I'm like, fuck that. I don't believe in war. I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill nobody.
Many people would not respect you for that.
People would call me. I would go out as a coward. Because I didn't want to fight.
Yeah.
I didn't want to fight. You are a coward. That's just the way things are. We don't have to fight. Actually, there's cases where we're convinced that we have to. These people are taking over our land, our country, our people are going to die because of these other people. And guess what? In those situations, I would fight. But I would, like in reality, in the back of my head, I know
that's
it's not the best thing to do.
Yeah, it's not. Like for me, I think that when war arises in our system, like, it's because of two things. One, we need more money just for the system to flourish, and the way more money is brought about is by having a bunch of civilians die, so there isn't as many people who have money.
Right, it's all population control.
And the second thing is that it's, all right, this is a way of bringing down the population and doing it in a just way, just way that has been ingrained into our minds as just through history. Mm-hmm. Or I guess for me, even though there aren't two S's, but it's like it's his story. And historically,
I like that.
Historically, it's been his story because the people who have been telling the story have been men who have been telling us not all the details. And when details are left out, translation is skewed more than it already is, because language, you can't express the full trueness with language, so there's always getting something lost in translation. But, you know, from there, it's lack of transparency, it's ego building, it's all for control. And like it's funny because I'll talk to people and like, and this is more for like, I guess, politically right-leaning people, but like, oh yeah, history's told by the winners. But like a lot of the people that I've talked to when they say that are in the image of the winners, who are also the image of westernized.
Yeah, we're all the winners. Me and you are winners.
And like the image of winners have, and not only winners, but the omnipotent, and especially in this country, like we have detailed. In a country where we have freedom of religion, even though it's so obviously a Christian country.
Yeah.
Like, God is a white man, Jesus is a white man, even though Jesus was born in the middle of he was in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And he had a long beard and long hair. You're telling me he was white? No, probably was whitewashed. A lot of things in history have been whitewash is a weird word because that's a vocabulary word we kind of came up for it in terms of white people telling the history, because we have been the ones who have won a lot of the things that have dictated the change in the story that has been told.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's all. That's mainly. I don't know
where
why.
I
don't.
Maybe
like,
with the Roman Empire, I'm not sure.
And like, where did? Because like, it's hard because no matter what, that doesn't solve the issue.
Not at all. Yeah.
Because you can't because at the end of the day you got
that just creates more issues.
You gotta just try to get to the root of shit. You gotta try and get to the root of any problems and attack them. And confront them, especially the things that you actively ignore, the things that you're fearful of. You got to fucking hit them head on, because after you hit them head on, it's like, wait, that wasn't bad at all. You know, like, but I think that, like, right now, politically in this country too, this is how this is what I've come to really feel. Yes, there is a lot of our foundation in this country has been built on the enslavement and murder of mostly non-white folks. People who were on this land in late 1400.
Right.
Beat to the bush, and like understandably so, because in our advances of technology, both weaponry and system evolution of how all of us as human beings all across the globe can live in this one system, mainly economics, but you know, people are pushed off their land, people are murdered, people are lied to, people are enslaved. But what people don't get is that like they weren't pushed off their land because they were not white.
No.
And Native Americans were not.
Whoever it was, they were getting pushed off.
They were getting pushed off, and guess what? Like, just because, like 99% of slaves were African American, were black. Doesn't mean that like before there were black slaves, there were white slaves in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. They were just more expensive. Apparently, that's why we went with the black slaves. Like, and apparently, I don't know the whole history of it, but. Like, the black slaves that we got from Africa and sent them to the Americas were sold to us by other black people. So
it's like in that...
so this is just another example of us, like, being confused, like, at what the real center of the problem is. It's not, like, race.
And
we focus on these differences because we group everybody together and we label them instead of being like, oh wait, we are all human beings. Like, if you cut us up open in the middle, we all look exactly the same. We all have the same size brain, same this.
Like with slavery, like people have this sense of like slavery is not only loud and proud today, but it's loud and proud physically in countries, but if you don't, like, for me, like, in this country, there's physical slavery still going on, but, like, all of us are mentally enslaved. Like, people don't think that the Matrix is possible because it's been made a movie. So like, oh, it's the Matrix. Like, it's a movie. There's no way that's real. And then you realize that when you're in this moment of presence and there really is, you feel not only the space of your body moving through the universe, but also the energy that you radiate. Like, there is, like, they are, like, we're being fucked with. Yeah. And, like, when you tell people that, like, things are rooted in things that they're not, like, how, this is something that my race, gender, class, and culture professor brought up to my class last semester. And he asked the question of, like, are things rooted in race? And some people said yes, some people said no. Mm-hmm. And then what he said really stuck with me. And it was, the next question was, is race a construction? And then everyone was going, yeah, race is a construction, like it does this, and this. And then he's like, okay, so things can't be rooted in constructions because constructions are made to solve problems. So how can things be rooted in race when it's a construction?
Right.
And then from there, it's like, oh, fuck, things aren't. Mm-hmm. That's the story that we're being blasted with. But things are rooted in fear and control, you know, and from control comes enslavement.
Desire, greed.
Yeah, you know, hatred, like enslavement happens, especially when people have the means to do it physically. And it's fucked up. I'm not saying that it's right or it should be done, but that's what it's been.
And that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
And like you said, you were talking about the Matrix. It's like me and we were talking about control at the beginning. And so in reality, we didn't have control over this Matrix. Like, we were just born in 1999, you in 2000. And this world has been going on for a long time, and all the systems were already created before we were born, and they were running and they were going, and we just got thrown into this thing. And now it's like our job to do something about it.
Yeah, like that's all we can do. We can't go back. We can only deal what is right now. And the core at every issue has been some expression of fear and kind of balancing that out with doing shit out of love. And like,
yeah, that's where it depends on. Look, we all want control, but it depends on where your desire for control is
from. Yeah, and where it's coming
because
from.
The only way to make a change is to have some control over your exterior environment. And we have made so much. We could see how much control we have over the environment every day. Look at the room we're sitting in.
Yeah.
And we have just chosen to like you say, to go with the fear and the control, the greed, and really the fear that the other side. It's like if I don't do it, then someone else is gonna do it. So like I have to stack up on nuclear weapons because then they're gonna do it, and then it's just fear of the other side. It's like it's all tribal monkey shit from thousands of years ago.
But it's also human. It's human shit now.
Huge level now.
Like it's fully evident that it's human shit at this point. Like it's not monkey shit. It is monkey shit, but like it's not because
it's gone beyond.
It's gone beyond the sense of primal monkey shit. Like, we've realized that lack of civilization isn't solving the issue that we've had 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago. Clearly, it's not solving the problem that we thought it was going to solve. So, like, what are we doing? It's like, we got to address fear as something that inherently like isn't ours again. Like it's a weird way to put
it's
it,
something
but
we're given.
like it's something. Yeah,
Like we're all going to die. We're not gonna be here on this earth forever. I mean, like at least in this physical form that we are trying so desperately to preserve and to make immortal. And all of it comes from the fear of death. Like every fear that we have.
But is it the fear of death, or is it? Because I think the fear of death plays a big part, but I think the fear of death is the at the top of the list of fears of unknown. And I think
the fear of the unknown.
That's
right.
Where, because we always want to have this sense of a hypothetical short-term future that we know that things will be okay, and then we look at the long-term and we want to make sure that things are okay.
It's all about that control that we have.
Like right now, I'm here with you recording our conversation. That's what's happening. There's nothing else. There's no Joe, there's no Matt, there's two beings having the conversation, having it recorded. In my mind, I have other shit that I have later. I have economics at 4 o'clock. I'm recording with my friend Mike after I record with you.
Oh, okay.
I got shit to do later, but at the end of the day, I don't.
Yeah, because you're here now.
Yeah.
This is great. Like Alan Watts has this quote. He says how, when you're lying in bed in the morning, you're thinking about all those things you have to do throughout the day, and you're stressing like, I have to do that, and you're like bugging out.
Yeah, you're bugging out.
Freaking out about all these responsibilities you have throughout the day, but in reality, you're just laying in bed.
That is all you're doing.
Yeah, right now you're just laying in bed. So, but you're going through all the motions of the future in the what's
like a computer. It's all the hypotheticals. It's all the what ifs.
Instead of
it's
just
a machine.
taking
It's a machine operation. It's
taking it as it comes and going with the flow.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, and it's hard because people we're not taught that. Yeah. We're taught the exact opposite.
One of the things that I've done throughout my life is I have, and I notice now looking back, I have taken the path of least resistance. I go with the flow, and the more I learn, the more I go with the flow. Because what I am learning, and what I'm learning is what I'm studying, and what I study is just philosophy, spirituality, religion, stuff like that. I study stuff I'm interested in, and I'm trying to learn about this life that we are a part of, and we encompass. We are the life that we are. It's so hard to explain because we didn't have that conscious control of, or so we think we didn't. We at least have no memory of coming into this being that we are today.
Exactly. We don't this experience. One of the things that I have on my list, which is nice that you brought up, it's it's for me a lot of people have this complex of the life and death complex. People think about this experience as, there's a beginning, there's an end. They think about that kind of the beginning end complex in a lot of things, all experiences really, we even talked about it before. There are people that want to embark on an adventure, and then once the adventure starts, they're 1 foot off the boat. They're not once it starts, it's all right.
Yeah,
I'm going home.
They're already back. Yeah.
They're already back. So
they're already sitting in their room, in their comfortable bed. But
I know I do that for me. I do that sometimes too. I'll do that.
Yeah, you're not present wherever you are. Even yesterday, at some points, at jiu-jitsu training, I was listening to what he was saying, but then in my mind, I'm thinking about what I'm doing afterwards, and I'm totally missing what he's teaching, but I'm thinking about, and I'm catching myself thinking about what I'm gonna do in after the class ends and what I have to do or whatever.
Yeah.
And Meanwhile, I just missed the lesson that he just taught us.
Exactly.
You know, and that's not important. I want to learn jujitsu, and I want to be the best that I can possibly be in jujitsu.
Yeah.
So that's what I want most. But like my mind is just like taking me somewhere else because of these concerns that because you want control over the outcomes in your life, you stress about it.
You stress about like the action. Like you can't have both. You can't, like, for me, like, what I've realized is that you cannot, there's no controlling the outcome. In the sense of, like, you can't write it down in stone and it's like, all right, that's happening. But, like, the way you can't do that directly.
Yeah,
the way you
should do is plan.
Like the way you control the outcome is plan how you can get from now to that potential outcome that you want, and then you see the steps that are in between. You know, like for me, like an outcome that I wanted was to have a remote line of income to where I can do work not in an office and I can go wherever I want. That was the first step for me. Before quarantine, before our crazy reaction to this fucking our mass fearful, we've been told that we're not powerful our whole lives, and this is the perfect fucking example.
And this just shows how powerful the mind control tactics that the people in power are used. Fear,
irrationality, delusion, and then division from that.
They play at our primal fears and desires. We want to live. We don't want to die, so we will do anything to live. We will protect ourselves first. Just,
I feel like what people like.
Honestly, I hate to do this, but I really need to pee.
No, go. Yeah, go pee. Go pee. Go. Yeah, do your thing.
Sorry.
No, don't pee. Okay, so Matt is going to pee, so I'm going to take this time to shout out my friend Brienne. It's Brienne's birthday today, and she's up at school. I'm not up at school, but I already wished her a happy birthday this morning, but I just wanted to shout her out. Also, I wanted to shout out my boy Hondo. I think his birthday was within the past week or so. I didn't even wish him a happy birthday, and I feel bad because I left. Not that I left anything, just the exact date left in my mind. But then when it passed, like I think the 18th, I may be completely wrong. But I just want to shout out the happy belated birthday today. But just also besides those shout outs, I wanted to thank everyone who's listened so far. And I really appreciate you being on this journey. I know that I've had a lot of friends who I've talked about potentially starting this podcast one day, and I'm happy that we're in motion. I'm grateful for everyone who's been a part of it. What's up, Maddie?
What's up?
Welcome back. How was your piss?
Very
good. Nice. All right. So, I guess what were we talking about? It was some it's whatever.
We were talking about like control.
Oh yeah.
We were just talking about like how like the people in power mind control us into those primal emotions like fear and desire.
Yeah.
They play at our emotions, and they know how to get what they want out of us, get us to believe what they want us to believe. And this is one of the problems with human beings in general, is we believe our thoughts. So that is, like you were talking about how race is the root of, or not, you weren't saying how the race is the root. Your professor asked if racism...
Can shit be rooted in race?
Okay.
Like, it's not like, it can create ideologies, but you're also putting pressure on people. Like, when you're telling, and like, what people don't understand is that, like, yes, it may be true that there's systematic injustice for people based on appearance. There is, and based on experience, but at the same time, you also speak that into your reality and you identify with it. And, it's very easy for me to say that because I am a white man.
Yeah.
Quote, like in this system of labels and where labels have certain benefits to having them.
Yeah, they give the labels power by whatever those people in power do to get us to believe in this racism shit.
It's real,
yeah.
girl. It's real, but it's constructed.
Yeah, we focus on our differences.
We're focusing on those things and like the way it used to be the rules have changed and I've kind of understand I remember the story used to be told, don't look at people for their skin color, that's what we're taught, but I know that others are taught that in a system your skin color matters. I know the conversation for black parents to their children are a lot different than the conversations that my parents had with me. Whether it's with how to treat other people, whether it's encountering the system in any way, especially the police, it's different. No doubt.
Big time, yeah.
I don't have the same worries because there have been a lot of the same experiences that a lot of people have had based on their appearance, whether it's black folks, whether it's brown folks, whether it's fucking women, whether it's any intersection of all of them, And then in turn, if you're a white individual, especially a white male individual, who isn't primarily realizing and focusing on that, other people in these groups tell you that you're a horrible human being and that you're not focusing on the right shit. And at the end of the day, that is a projection of the self.
Yeah, you can't
at the
say
end of the day.
You can't say anything about somebody based off of their appearance, or off of their skin color.
Anything that's tangible to others. I can't
you
say...
You could say, okay, he's black. His skin color is black. Or you could say he's brown, or you could say he's
white,
he's
tan, he's
whatever
fucking...
That's about it. That's all you could say. You can't even say his
nothing,
race
there's
because
no,
you don't really know.
Yeah, and you can't dictate. You cannot dictate
what type. You don't know what type
of person they are, and that goes back to the balance of the individuality and the group identification. You need to identify with other individuals. You can't. There's not going to be a real sense of strong foundation off of something that's tangible and made up.
Yeah,
our foundation is the relationship that we've developed. Yeah, there are a bunch of factors. Us being two white boys is a factor for sure, but
there was so many factors playing into us two becoming such close friends.
There's so many different points of view that you can look at it from. You can't say that one thing is the reason.
Yeah, it's all of the reasons.
It is everything. Everything is the reason for right now.
Yeah.
Everything that has been happening and that will happen and everything that's ever happened has led up to this.
Even
everything will lead up to what will happen. And if we tell people in any way that division is the way, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Because that's how power is held over people. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the fuck we disagree on. If person A benefits from person B and C disagreeing, it doesn't matter what we're disagreeing on. If we're fucking arguing that, if I fucking say that, if you say that 2 + 2 is 4 and I say 2 + 2 is 5, and we're arguing, going to war over nonsensical bullshit, and this person benefits from it, they don't give a fuck about us as individuals.
No.
You know, like, and that's the problem, because there is no care for no matter. There are people, and I fall victim to it too sometimes. Like, you cannot establish this concept of empathy in your mind and then project all of the resentments and fears that you have on other individuals as being not good.
If you have empathy, is what you're saying. Yeah, you can't have empathy and then also
You can't be empathetic, and you can't say you have empathy and not be empathetic in every sense of the word. Like, I'll say shit about people judgmentally, and then right after I'll be like, not only is that wrong, that was a judgment about myself.
Right,
this person had nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
I
don't know if you know, did I tell you about how, remember Lewis, like, me and him went on vacation, and like, we didn't have an argument or anything on vacation, but like, it didn't go as great as it could have been. Yeah. And in my opinion, it was his fault or whatever. But and me and him didn't have an argument or anything, but I was on the phone with my brother. I don't know if I told you this. I was on the phone with my brother and telling him about the vacation, and I was kind of like venting about and he was coming over my house, and like, he's like comfortable, obviously, fucking, he's my best friend, he just walks in the backyard. And I didn't hear, I don't think he walked in, but I was in my backyard venting about him to my brother, and he overheard everything that I said about him, and they weren't the best things. But, and then we didn't talk for like a week or whatever, and then I reached out to him, and I made sure told him that everything that I said about you is a reflection of me. It really says a lot more about me than it does about you. Yeah. I was like, it's a projection of my own craziness. Like, you know, I was trying to,
you know?
And he wasn't meant to hear it.
But at the end of the day, like, he was meant to hear it.
Yes, he was meant to hear it.
That conversation comes out, and like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, sometimes Lou can be... you can not agree with him and feel that he's done something, and as much as that is true, it's also as true as you seeing the issue in it, and then it's like, all right, what am I seeing the issue with myself through what I'm looking at right now? Like, what's really going down?
Yeah, like my anger and whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's okay, because like, you're not like friendships like that and real connections like that, they're not going to always be on the up and up, and they're not always going to be fluid in that sense of like, there's going to be shit that you feel about your closest friends, and like, I do with everyone, that I just look and it's like, I don't agree with this, or I don't, like, I just think it's like a shot thing, but then I know it's like, all right, like, apply this to yourself, Joe. Why do you think this certain thing's shot? Why do you think that this certain thing's wrong? What experiences have you had that make you feel this way?
Yeah, look inward, like, let's unpack why I'm feeling this way about what they said and what they believe.
Because it's all inwards. Like, the song Courage to Grow on Vin's fucking, on his playlist, like, that song, bro. Yeah, like, oh, bro. Oh, like, it's so good because, like, all of the answers are inside. If anyone needs to listen to a good song, listen to the song Courage to Grow. I think it's by
Rebulation.
Rebulation or whatever, Revolution or something like that. But listen to the song Courage to Grow. And also another good one is Personal Revolution by Ziggy Marley.
Nice.
Such a good song.
Did my brother send you those two songs?
Yeah, he said, I have the playlist.
Nice.
I have the playlist, and like, they are really such good songs, because they're just, it's inward looking, you know. You are not going to find any of the answers.
Here, while we're giving song recommendations,
go.
Another great song which is similar to these songs, like looking inward, and just accepting things. It's called Breathe and Let Go by Mahali.
Oh, yeah. Mahali's mad good.
Yeah, that whole album.
Mahali's great. But, also the song Hypocrite by Mahali.
Yeah.
Just because it's just like...
That whole album.
Just listen to it. But, yeah, bro, this fucking life's crazy.
Yeah, so what I want to say before, like, about the race thing, like, with what your teacher was saying, like, is racism a root or whatever? What I think is the root of it all is we believe believe our thoughts and we believe our beliefs. Like, you know, we believe our beliefs are true. So that's what makes us crazy. Yeah, that's what makes us crazy. Because we all, if everyone believes their thoughts and we all believe that our thoughts are the truth, then we're all holding on to our own truth. And then so every single time you have a conversation with someone, you're trying to convince them of your truth.
And they're trying to do the same thing.
They're trying to do the same thing. And then so the conversation has an ebb and flow. You might get into an argument because you're not agreeing with what I believe. And you're not, you know, and the reality... You take it personally. Yeah, you take it personally. And the reality is that just get rid of the beliefs and what you're left with is the raw data, like, of life, like, and what you're left with is the truth. If, say, you're believing something and you believe it so hard, like, I'm not even going to give an example. Whatever you believe, you're dismissing everything else. You're ignoring everything else. So whatever you focus your attention on, you're ignoring everything else.
Belief implies non-belief in other things, just like for, like, I guess a good example of that is like conformity. Like conforming to things implies not conforming to others, and then when you change your, like, it's the same thing. Like if you change the way the thing that you're conforming to, you quote deconform or unconform from the thing that you were like originally believing in, and like you can't look at it at a point of view as you being right or wrong.
Right.
Because you're not right. So there's no factual truth to what's being said or believed. But there isn't anything that is saying that, like, there isn't anything that's saying that isn't true based on your individual experience. You know, like, there is no... It's either you're neither right or wrong, or you're both right
it's like
and wrong.
It's an opinion.
You can't have both of them exist and only experience one of them.
Right, like, this is an example of this, like, how our language is representational. It's not...
What it is.
It's not... Language,
it's a map.
Yeah, language it's a map, yeah. It represents the world that we see. But it is not the world.
Yeah.
Just like everyone... Look, money helps life, but money is not life.
Yeah.
Like, my relationship with you is worth more than $100,000.
Any money
like, I don't
that
need
can, like,
$100,000. I would be devastated if I lost you, but I wouldn't be... If I lost...
Like,
it wouldn't affect me as badly as if I lost a person in my life.
Exactly.
That you care
and love. And, like...
That's more important to me than some dollar bills.
I feel you. And, like...
You know, money can't buy you love. Money can't buy you happiness.
Like, you know, like, for me, like... I understand money.
It can help,
money helps and money makes things easier, but it's also in the system that we've constructed that it makes it easier. But we also have a system where things that we want to do also require money to pay for the things that we want to do.
Yeah, like, so money represents wealth in the same way that the menu represents the food that you're eating.
Yeah.
Like when you go into a grocery store and you buy the food, like, you're like, oh, I'm giving up all this money, but the real wealth is in the shopping cart, all the food that you're taking home.
Yeah,
that's
the wealth.
So when, like, this is what I'm talking about. The root of our problems is caused by, like, believing our thoughts, when our thoughts are not real in any real concrete sense. They're just beliefs that we put...
They're not definitive. Just because we put them in the words doesn't mean that's what they are.
Right.
Even the thoughts, like the thoughts that we quote have aren't even the actual thoughts that we have. Like it's the expression of. It's the expression through the language that we have of whatever that stream of consciousness is trying to tell us.
Yeah, it's just another happening. Just as the car is passing by, a cloud is passing over by, a thought is popping up into your head just like that, without your conscious control.
Yeah.
It just happens. And then our problem, the root cause of our problems, I believe, is us attaching to those thoughts that just come. And some of them are fucking horrible.
Yeah.
They absolutely are horrible thoughts like that you have of just the most destructive nature. And if you attach those thoughts, you might become someone you can't even imagine now. Like if you attach to these destructive thoughts, like, I may think some fucked up things.
Yeah, I do too, bro. I think fucked up shit all the time, you know, but at the same time, it's not it's. And if you're guess what? I feel that I am like. It's not that I am thinking these things, but I is thinking these things, and like it's hard to say that I'm not I without using I. Like the true experience and being of like and the soul of like what is. It's not I. But I is attaching to these things and like...
Because I is not this set in stone thing. It's always changing.
Yeah.
Like our physical form, what we consider our I is like something that is inside of this bag of skin, but it's not this bag of skin.
Yeah.
But in reality, what we are is always changing. Like the physical form is always changing. Blood is flowing just like that, like water flowing in the river.
Yeah.
Like it's all connected. So our definition of ourselves is so false and just like it's just like based off of false beliefs. And like our definition of ourselves is what's screwing us. I think that's like the root of our problems.
Yeah. I feel you. It's a lot. It's the attachment and taking it, saying that there's really no. You attach to it and saying that this cannot change. It's a limit. You know, when you put the limitation on, there's fear involved, and you know, like you can't, like. You can't limit yourself, and like there are subconscious ways to limit yourself in every sense of the word. Like when you believe in a story, no matter how quote true it may be, if you just said, hey, I'm just not going to go with that grain, like that's not the story that puts me in a position of love and value for myself and others. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to identify with a different story.
That makes me feel better.
That makes me feel better. That is just as made up as any other story. You know, like, it's weird. And, like, history is weird. Like I said it before, like, it's his story, but, like, just, like, it's all what's been passed down and us taking it as truth. Like, the more we focus on history, the more we focus on the future. Because the more we focus on the past, the more we're anxious about the future, and the more destructive we get about our feelings towards the past that have not been good unless we're addressing them correctly. And all we have is right now. What can we do right now? And like, for me, like, everyone can work on being a little bit nicer to themselves. Because it's very hard, but, you know, like, you can't, like...
And you can't be nice to other people if you're not nice to yourself first.
Exactly.
If you don't love yourself...
You cannot share that love.
Yeah, you can't love anyone else. You can't, you know...
It's not love.
If you haven't accepted yourself, then you can't accept anyone else.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Like you cannot, because you're not. It's not about doing it for others.
Yeah, if
like
you haven't reconciled with your own self and what you've done in the past, or what you haven't done, what you want to do, we all have this ideal version of ourselves. And this is Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, and he's like, we have that ideal, and we beat ourselves up if we don't reach that ideal. Like what we consider to be our ideal.
What we would want.
What we would want, yeah. Like
what would we want in a perfect situation?
What you expect out of yourself.
Yeah.
If you didn't reach that ideal, you're gonna beat the hell out of yourself. Beat yourself up over it. You're like,
exactly.
And we all do that. But like, if you could accept your imperfection, like whatever it is, like your downfall, if you could accept it, that will be your rise, like you were saying before.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just texting.
Like your greatest weakness could be your greatest strength.
Yeah, like what Jordan Peterson, like another thing that Jordan Peterson said, I've actually listened to it recently. It's like, you gotta realize that in your thoughts, there's gonna be a great balance of like love and awesomeness and radiating that, but also destruction and the capability of destruction, and actually how dangerous of a being, both physically and psychologically, you can be to yourself and others.
Yeah, and you can who said this.
Go.
I just need to say this before I forget. Like Jordan Peterson talks about whoever said it. He's like, the line of good and evil is drawn straight down the middle of every human being. Like the line of good and evil. Because we have just as much power to do great and beautiful things as destruction. We do to have. Yeah, and we see that every day. We see the most beautiful things, and we also see the most horrific things.
Yeah, and what David says a lot is that like good, like bad, in the sense of bad and evil, like that it won't prevail. But like good won't either, because they are both in reality the same fucking thing. It's a different expression of the same thing.
Yeah, they're opposite ends of a spectrum, which is in the middle, absolutely connected and one.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you that's like
you can't have positive and negative. Like they're without that
without the spectrum like the spectrum of like measure and value, like, and that's every sense, whether it's numbers, whether it's actions that you perceive as positive and negative, like they're like, and it's weird, like I guess with numbers, like all of these numbers wouldn't exist without being in a system of functionality, without expressing its opposite, it's negative. Like you can.
Yeah, like the difference is like that's the beauty and the difference between us and all other animals is that we are able to decipher between what's good and what's evil, like on what we consider good and evil. But and still, those are only beliefs.
Yeah, they're only beliefs, and it's like all you can do is set yourself on a course of belief that brings the most love to you. And that you can share with others, and it's hard because there's no living a life of eternal love without also encountering those deep dark fears, and that's the point. You got to address those.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
Exactly. So if you want to love, then like you're always like you're gonna experience the fear no matter what. So are you going to kind of go in the rabbit hole? Are you gonna the rabbit hole of ever running around the thing instead of jumping onto the fucking thing that you have to?
Right.
Or are you gonna just attack it and feel raw and then feel much better after? Like the ego puts destroys a lot of that. It puts
it holds you back from a lot of those things.
Like it holds you back from really.
It keeps you running away from your fear.
Yeah, because it's you'll change after that. the story
And we're
will
afraid of
change, and we're
change.
afraid of change, even though that is what experience is.
Yeah, we're
That is
changing
what
whether we
that
like
is
it or
what
not.
a being is. Like, you don't stay the same. You flow. You change. Like, the sense of this image of Joe Boxer or Matt Fiorenza, like,
We like to think
we
that,
want others to think good about us, but that comes from doing good things and doing things out of love, and
that's how you command respect, by doing those things that are considered to be
exactly,
righteous.
you know,
And not things that are considered to be righteous by the population of all
you
the
command it by pure presence. You don't command it with the words that you necessarily speak, because those are ideas that people will resonate with and will respect you for. But when you do, like, there's a certain point when you do things, and like for me, and so, like, I've felt it, like, I know that they're, like, at least with the people around me and close to me, like, they know a lot of the good and bad that I've done, and vice versa with those people, but there's a loving relationship and connection with those people, and when I walk into a room, I know my presence is felt. Vice versa, I know when you walk into a room, and I know when David walks into a room, I know not only do you guys know that your presence felt, but I feel your presence, and I know that you walking into a room changes the energy. You know, like, there's no... Like, there are people who don't have that social awareness, but there are also people who, like, don't have the self-awareness to understand, like, that everyone has it, and everyone really has a presence physically and mentally, because when someone comes into a room, you know, the whole consciousness contained in the area that you are is shifted.
Yeah, it's a collective consciousness.
The thoughts are going to change. Shit's going to go haywire.
Yeah.
You know, but it's good, you know, because if you have a good, loving energy that can come in, like, come in and you're good, and it flourishes, and the energy gets brought to a level that you didn't think it would have in a good way. But for other people, you know that there's certain things that they don't address in their lives, and then when they come into a space, the energy shifts in a way where there's not possibly high anxiety.
Yeah, because they haven't worked out their own issues.
And then they're projecting that onto others, and then it's like, all right, you feel this. Like, and I guess the most simple way I could say this is, you know that when certain people walk into a room and you're having a conversation, some people... that conversation has to stop.
Yeah.
Pin it in the butt, you pick it up somewhere else. But you also know that for other people, you turn, it's like, oh shit, like, join the conversation. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. And, like, it's rough because you want to be inclusive and you want everyone to have those conversations, but there are people that aren't ready to have the ones that we're having right now. And not only that, people aren't ready to get criticism or not necessarily criticism, but difference in opinion for the things that we said. And, like, for me, like, I know for talking about the race, like, I know a lot of people will disagree, but I know that there are a lot of people who feel and know that I try to project the most love I can, and people know that. Like, and I know that.
I know
like,
that
even like, you know, like, even if 0 people knew that, I know that I know that.
Yeah, and that's, like, what matters most. That's how you command respect, is by respecting yourself and believing in yourself and not worrying about what everyone else is thinking.
And then your energy glows. You know, you, like, people feel,
because you trust yourself.
People feel that presence. People, like, you walk into a room and it's like, oh shit, like, fuck, like, it's just a, like. And it's a learning opportunity for me, for a lot of people. Like, when I feel like anyone walking into a room, it's like, all right, I'm down to learn.
Yeah,
down to talk and see whatever it is, whatever I learn. Whether if I learn your deepest, darkest secret, or I learn a minuscule thing that may not be apparent now to be helpful, but it could be in 5-10 years in a spot where I could never thought that thought would resurface. And then it's like, oh fuck.
I think every experience of this now moment, it has a lesson for you to take with you. Everything, you know.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agreed.
And I just wanted to talk about, like, we were talking about how, like, we're always, like, our physical forms are always changing.
Yeah.
But we like to think, especially in America, like, I mean, I'm sure all over the world we like to think that there's this thing inside us, our soul or whatever, that is unchanging, that just stays the same and has been with us throughout. It's like the experiencer of experiences. Like, we have always been this soul inside and trapped inside of this body, and that soul is unchanging. But that's totally, in my opinion, is not the case. Like, I think that our soul is here to change, to grow.
It is to,
and we are that change, and
we are all of it. Like, there's no, like we said in the beginning, like, there is no looking at everything without, like, there's, like, you can't look at everything from a perspective of not
you need
being
that one
in it.
perspective.
Like,
you need to be that eye to be able to see everything else.
like, at the end of the day, like,
you can't look out through everybody's eyes. You can only look out through your own.
But at the same time, I feel that we are that. We are everything looking through everyone's eyes.
Yeah, but you're only experiencing it like one at a time. Like, you know, I can only...
You're seeing it through that form that has been labeled Matthew Fiorenza.
Thank God.
I'm looking at it, and like I'm very grateful. You know, but I've also felt
that's like
moments,
empathy.
not only empathy and like really feeling for a person, but I've just been like, and it's been like moments when I've been by myself, really looking inwards, and it's like, I'm everyone. Like, we are, like, the video, the egg.
Yeah, I believe
that, like, there are things that are a little bit inconsistent for me. Like, I don't agree with every single thing that's in the video, but one thing I agree with is that we really are one thing experiencing all these different experiences. And we're only aware of how that experience is manifested, but like...
Yeah, well, like, I feel like when I took the mushrooms that time, like, I feel like I realized that this life is eternal, and that this, like, there's no such thing as death, because when we die, we're on to the next journey.
It's life, it's...
Like, this is just one journey out of many journeys.
It's experience, you know?
Journeys.
It's like, it's either like, the life and death puts a timestamp on it, and like, then you think about all the hypotheticals of what was before and what's possibly after, and like, in reality, like, it's always been this. Not that we've always been humans and we've been
this person forever.
But it's, we are doing this. Yeah. What else is it?
I'm glad we're talking about this, because I wanted to talk to you about this. I know you'll like this.
All right, yeah. Well, I guess quick story. We'll finish off with this just because.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, it's a nice ending point.
This will be nice. So
go.
The other day, my cousin, a few weeks ago, my cousin died, and we had his funeral last week.
Yeah.
And so my mom came with me to the wake, and she's asking everybody there, she's like, what do you think happens when you die? What do you think happens when you die? And I'm like, wow, my mom is so like me in that way. Like,
yeah, and you're so like her. Yeah, you know, you're curious, you know?
And she's like, what do you think? And she says, what she thinks is that it's nothing. It's just black. It's just nothing. Like before you were born, like how you don't remember that. It's like when you go under anesthesia. It's absolutely nothing. You just die and that's it. And I was like, I don't know. Yeah. My aunt, who she was talking to, was saying what she believes. She believes that when you die, it's similar to this life, but like you get greeted by all your relatives in heaven or whatever, and that it's similar to this life. Like, you still have your human form, but you just have no responsibilities and no work and you're just free. And in my head, I'm like...
That still didn't resonate.
It didn't resonate with me because
yeah.
I'm like, yo, we could do that now. I wanted to shake her. I'm like, we could do it now. Like, we are free
that's
now.
what it is now.
Exactly. So, and then later that night, I'm back home, smoking a joint in my backyard, and I'm just thinking about what my mom said earlier, like how she thinks that after death is nothing. And I'm thinking about all the mushroom experiences and all the freaking spiritual things that I learned through them, and all these truths that I learned that you can't talk about because the truth can't be talked about. It could only, like, there's a saying about, like, in Taoism, like, this Taoist philosophy that says the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. Like, it's not the eternal Tao.
Like, you can't talk
about what we are because you can't get outside of what we are to talk about, to look at it and talk about because we are what we are, whatever.
Exactly. Like, you can't, there's no looking outside of it or being
because there's no getting outside. You're in it and that's it. You are it. But so the whole point of me telling the story is, like, I'm thinking about what my mom said, like, about how after death it's just nothing. It's just blackness or whatever. It's nothing.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So I'm thinking, if there's nothing after death, then this is it.
Yeah.
Then this life that we're living right now is it. And that's what I truly believe, because I don't believe, like, you can't have on without off. You can't have life without death.
Yeah.
This is, we're on right now. And then when we die, we're off. But we play the game, like Alan Watts talks about, we play the game that the darkness is gonna win over the light.
Yeah.
But in reality, you can't have one without the other. You have the darkness, you rest for a little bit, then you wake. Just like we sleep and wake, sleep and wake. So I'm outside and I started thinking, I'm like, wow, if there's nothing after death, then this is heaven. And it's hell for some people. For some people, it's hell. But for me, it's fucking heaven. It's the best shit ever. It's amazing.
It is, you're right.
And so I just got emotional. I ran upstairs as fast as I could and cried and hugged my mom and told her I loved her, because if this is it...
This is it,
This is it. Like, let's really enjoy. And that's what I felt from the shrooms. They're like, yo, you're here. Make the most of it.
That's
the don't let these stupid things that you're embarrassed about hold you back.
Do you feel like that, those insights... Because when Nikki talks about it, like, it's very family oriented. And I would agree with him in the sense, like, in terms of consciousness and, like, that's, for me, like, the energy that's telling you, like, to not worry about these stupid things are what is closest to being you. Because, yes, we are...
It was the deepest part of myself telling me.
Exactly.
Like, because they knew more about me than I did. Like,
because they've already lived and experienced those streams of consciousness, and that's what they're throwing at you. Because, like, I guess, like, I'll end it off with this because, like, I've realized that it's my responsibility to take the generational things that my ancestors did not handle and outright ignored. Now I have to deal with them. Because if I don't,
then the next person,
my kids are going to have to. And then if they don't, their kids are going to have to. And, like, at the end of the day, like, it's my responsibility to handle those things and to unlearn a lot of the generational trauma that for me, I've experienced. But at the end of the day, like, it's also not, it's your responsibility to almost not listen to the ancestors that you have that project that garbage onto you. And not like only your ancestors, but, like, also the ones that, your relatives that are alive today, like that projection, like, it gets passed down. Like, it's not theirs.
Yeah, their fears become your fears.
Yeah, you know, because it's
their desires, and
that's
your
that's
desires.
Direct parenting too. You know, like, it's crazy because, like, for me, like, kind of goes back to fear and like how we reacted to COVID. Like, it's not my responsibility for others to make sure that others don't get sick and don't fall victim to illness, because that's all internal shit. The killers in this country are the top are heart disease and cancer and modern medicine. Modern medicine is body preservation. Cancer is a disease of resentment, and heart disease is a disease of stress.
Yeah.
Internal shit.
And then
I have no control over these things. So people want to mandate people or tell people that they have to wear masks. Symbolically, that's very dangerous.
Very, very fucking dangerous.
Very dangerous. Not only that, you're telling people that they don't have power to live life normally. You're telling people,
well, other human beings are telling us this.
And like,
what?
Fuck that. I'm not listening to those human beings because they don't got it figured out just as much as we don't. Yeah. And guess what? Even if, scientists say all these things, and I'm not discounting science, but science isn't the universe.
Right. Yeah.
It's math applied. And math is a language that we developed, even though I believe it's more consistent and it's found in nature much more. It is not nature.
It's still constructed. Yeah,
it is constructed. Nature. It is representative. A lot of things are representative and symbolic. It's very dangerous when you don't think that that's the case.
Yeah, and when you think that, this person, just because of the knowledge that he has no matter how much knowledge that you
the more knowledge you have, the more you realize that the more you realize that the knowledge that you don't have is going to be more important and greater in quantity, and like
it always is. Yeah,
you just can't tell people how to live. As hard as it is.
You really can't, because guess what? You don't know just as much as I don't know. Nobody knows more than you.
Exactly.
They don't. It's so true. People, like Terrence McKenna says this. He's like, nobody knows more than you. And so what if they do? What good is their knowledge doing you? He's like, inform yourself.
Inform yourself and understand that, like, for me, like, one thing I get bothered by, especially with the masks, is that it's fear-invoking. It's divisive. It's divisive. It's
dehumanizing.
It is a symbol of, hey, put this on,
or else.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, Big Brother.
And fucking and listen, because when people have masks on, and I've experienced this walking around, I'm not staring into. It's very hard to be welcoming just with your eyes.
Yeah, they're threatening what is real and protecting what is fake, like the social media and all that bullshit. That is fake. When you're outside walking the streets, that's real. When you see another human being, that's real, and they're taking that away from us. We can't even smile at another person because you're wearing a fucking mask.
And guess what? I haven't, and like...
It divides people and... out of fear.
Inherently, it's like a lot of it.
It pisses me off. Like, I don't even want to talk about it.
No, I feel we have to, because and it's okay to be angry. And I'm someone who doesn't really get like not forceful, but like really like honing down on what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm just usually casual with my words sometimes, but like it's fucking important. Like, you gotta fucking look at shit and see the perspective of what you can do to be better, and not for the system, not for others to look at you and say, oh, you're a good fucking person. It's, oh, I'm a good fucking person. Yeah. Me not wearing a mask, I feel I'm a good person, because not only am I telling myself that I'm powerful enough to live and experience a life of you know, just kind of doing what I choose to do, because we all choose to do what we do, no matter the limitation that has been set. Yeah. We choose what we choose to do. If we didn't, we wouldn't choose it.
We
choose
put
something
ourselves
else.
In this position. Like there's a saying, like, oh, every person gets a government that they deserve. Like, because it's based off of our choices. Like, we put those people in power, and we also choose to follow their orders. When
Exactly.
they place these mandates, we're like, okay, yes, sir, yes,
and
sir.
I'm not gonna wear, like, for me, like, and everyone's like, oh, then like people say that you shouldn't wear masks, but there's this the regulations are the problems, folks. There are good regulations. There's things that we can regulate that overall help everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
But to invoke fear and say that helps doesn't. So I'm not going to listen to anyone who says it does.
Yeah. That's why you want control. What you want control over is yourself. And when you're you give the control over to the people in power.
You seize power
by watching the news all the time.
You're on a program. And when you listen to mainstream media, and that's the focal point, because I know that, like, a lot of people, mainly left-leaners, politically, argue with mainstream media. And it's like, bro, that's the story.
Like, how about just
that's
stop
the
watching
narrative.
It? Create your own show.
Create your own show, create your own reality, and then it's like, oh, not only are you happier, but you're not on the program.
Yeah, if we all did it collectively, it would make a difference. But guess what? Even if everyone else isn't doing it, that's not a good reason for you not to do it. Like, to start creating for yourself and thinking for yourself instead of just following what all the collective, what everyone else is doing.
Literally.
Live your life for yourself. Don't, yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah, you just gotta really, take yourself first, but you gotta do shit selfishly out of love.
Yeah, selfish. You have to
be selfish because you're selfish inherently no matter what. You're not wearing a mask because you feel that it really helps. You've been told that it helps, and you've been told you're a good person if you wear it. That's why you're fucking wearing it.
Right.
99% of you.
Yeah.
Other people, yeah, they got shit going on. They have shit to wear the mask. Putting it on does more good than bad for them. But just because it does more good than bad for one does not mean it does more good for bad for everyone.
It should be optional, because
and that's
you should
what
be like, no, if you're
everything.
at risk, hey, it's you leave your house at your own risk every day, no matter what.
And that's everything, and it's hard because there's a lot of control and regulation on bodies, especially women's bodies in this country, and like, I get that. From a woman's point of view, it's like, yo, wear a fucking mask. My fucking vagina's regulated, bro. Wear it.
Wear a mask.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't agree with your body being regulated. It's a huge fucking problem. We need to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
But telling people that they have to do shit, people are gonna not do that shit.
Yeah. And this is new shit too, like wearing pants and clothes out in public and not walking around naked.
No.
That's something we were born with. It's not like
that's what we're born with, and like that's an idea.
Look, it does suppress and repress us in many ways, like us having to wear these clothes. But it protects us.
It's no freedom, bro.
It protects us from the cold, and it protects us from our egos, which are embarrassed by certain things.
Yeah, our ego gets protected.
Which is always comparing. But
it's
like things like that. But the mask is so new. That's why
it's
must fight against it.
It's new here. Like in other, like in Asian countries, it's not as new, and it's a symbol of community, but it's an equal symbol of division. It's an equal symbol of suppression of expression.
Yes.
And literally, like, yo, I can't, like, if we had masks on for this conversation...
we can't breathe.
I can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, I can't, I think 90% of communication is not with language. It's with
not
everything
verbal.
Else. It's the way I'm sitting. It's the way my hands are.
It's the way you open yourself up.
And it's the facial expressions. It's your teeth showing. It's
all of it. Yeah. So, yeah, like, I guess To end off, I'm just gonna say thank you, Matt,
Thank you, guys.
of course,
So
yeah,
fun.
this was wonderful. This is something that we do and have been doing, and
Yeah.
now it's just getting it on get it recorded, and share our thoughts with people to agree or disagree with, and to formulate more conversations that people need to have. And I just think that at the end of the day, the masks, the living in fear, it's applicable in any situation. You really just have to try and look inwards and to see what is best for you. Why do you wear a mask? Why do you wear the clothes that you wear? Why do you participate in the activities that you participate in? Is it for you? Is it for something that isn't you? Are you saying that it's for you, but it's really not? Or are you saying that it's for something else when it's really for you?
Yeah, your intention is everything. I mean, the action really matters.
Action matters, but intention, it's fucking important, because on the other end of an experience, there is a perception that I can perceive your action as one thing. Someone else can perceive that same action as something completely different. I could say that you did something that was very selfish, but in a way where you did it for yourself in order to go into a direction that is overall for the greater good of you and everyone else, because it's out of love. But someone else can be on the other end of something that you've done and say that that you're a horrible person. At the end of the day, just do for you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, people need to be able to make their own choices.
Yeah, because doing shit for you, if it's out of love, you are doing for everyone else.
Yeah,
because that's what you are. Because if we're all doing that,
yeah.
Then it's like, oh fuck, the whole energy of the world changes. Like the energy field, and this is my perfect example to really end off on. Election year, every 4 years, from March to to November 3rd and after. Energy throughout the whole entire world. Well, mainly our country, but it has spread to all over the world, goes fucking bonkers. More fear, more rationality than any other point within the 4 years. It's like...
And we're seeing the worst of it right now.
And you gotta understand that energy shift is purposeful. None of it's on accident. The masks aren't on accident. The 5G towers are not on accident. Satellites being sent up to radiate frequencies onto the fucking Earth is not a fucking accident.
It's not a coincidence.
It's all purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
So find yours. Find shit that you will be purposeful for in a loving way, in a good way. Because we already got a lot of factors that are purposeful that have been rooted in fear. So do it with love. Because there's a balance. And there's always a balance.
We are not here to understand.
We aren't. You're right.
We're here to appreciate.
Exactly. There's no amount of rationale that you can have that will outweigh the love and the gratitude and the forgiveness for yourself and others. That it won't. Nothing will outweigh that. It never will. So I guess with that we'll end off there. Thank you again, Matt, for of course. Yeah, I'm very excited to do this again and again and again. And we'll have about 1 million of these episodes by the time we fucking drop dead. But it was a great first one. So thank you once again.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, my boy.